A baby's cradle of nomadic peoples, very similar in shape, would seem to be the most ordinary object of human life. However, in the cultural code of nomads, a baby's cradle is one of the vivid ways to understand the value system of our ancestors. A cradle of Kazakhs is called Besik. It was in every house. It was not allowed to break or throw it away. The Besik was inherited. Besik was a sacred object associated with the miracle of new life, with the respect to the process of introducing a little one to the world. Kazakhs believed that Besik made the acquaintance delicate and painless. The design of the Besik gave the baby a feeling of safety, comfort, which grew with the measured rocking, the gentle voice of the mother, and the warmth of her hands. Kazakhs said, "A woman rocks the cradle with one hand and the world with the other hand."
Кез келген қазақ отбасындағы дәстүрлі нағыз бір тәрбиенің.
We all lied in a cradle in infancy. So did I, lying in a Besik, listening to my mother's lullabies and grandmother's fairy tales.
Бесікке тербетіліп, бесіктен өсіп, ананың әлі.
The baby in Besik begins to form a future confident and calm attitude to the world around him.
Барлық қазақ отбасына тән дүние деп санаймын. Әрине қазір өкінішті.
And in all Kazakh families, this simple method was used. Of course, it is sad that not everyone has preserved this sacred tradition. But we keep it in our family. We have a Besik with a very long history.
Бесігіміз бар үйімізде.
Besik was made of certain types of wood. This allowed it to be sturdy but light and suitable for nomadic life. It was very convenient to keep the baby in a Besik while riding a camel and even a horse. Blankets on the cradle protected the child from the weather. A special Besik design made it comfortable. It allowed the baby to relieve himself and stay dry and clean at the same time. It is also important that the baby in Besik remained safe. As a rule, the child was fixed in the crib with soft straps and, in general, swaddled quite tightly. It is the tradition of tight swaddling that causes a lot of controversy and criticism today. Swaddled child sleeps peacefully. He doesn't move limbs and doesn't get scared, doesn't hurt himself. A child who doesn't sleep in a Besik usually wakes up frequently because of his own movements or from any rustle. As a result, he doesn't get enough sleep and wants to be held all the time. And if the child is unswaddled in a timely manner, massaged, stretched and laid down again, he gets used to this routine. There is no harm for a child. Children who do not sleep in Besik also grow up healthy. May everyone be well. There is such an opinion: a small child binds both hands to a bad housewife, and only one hand to a prompt and smart housewife. This means that the accustomed child lies quietly and the mother can do household chores. The cradle is an important space for a newly born person. At all times, in all nations, adults have created a cradle for their children with the main goal to protect physically and at the energy level. That is why decorating cradles with various symbolic objects, amulets, is so common for many from time immemorial. No matter what shape the baby's cradle was, parents always found a place for the amulet. The shape of the Kazakh Besik is quite typical for the Central Eurasian space and dictated by the requirements of a nomadic lifestyle.
Ол әрине көшпелі тұрмыста қолайлы материалдық дүние деп есептеуіміз керек.
Of course, we should consider it as an object convenient for nomadic life. Why is it suitable for nomadic life?
Мал сауады, кешкі сауын бар, тағы басқа шаруа көп қой жалпы.
A Kazakh woman, even during the migration, is always busy with the household. She puts the baby in the cradle and calmly does household chores. Many records of travelers and ethnographers say that all the household burdens lay on the shoulders of a woman, up to the assembly and disassembly of portable dwellings, yurts. And Kazakhs had to move from place to place up to several times a year. At the same time, women often gave birth. Therefore, Besik was a great help for them.
Есеюіне ықпал еткен құрал деп түсінуіміз керек. Осыдан қарастыруымыз керек.
A unique feature of the nomads' cradles is that it allowed to keep the baby clean during the certain time. Lucy Atkinson, the wife of the English traveler Thomas Atkinson, who visited the Kazakh land, admired it in her memoirs. Having become a mother herself while traveling with her husband, she fully experienced hardships of keeping a child clean under conditions of constant motion.
Ал енді бұл бесіктің қасиеті.
Nomadic life was a necessity. Cattle breeding required large areas, and wars were regularly waged over these areas. In most cases, the enemy attacked unexpectedly. Men had to fight and women had to leave with children and the elderly to a safer place.
Жып-жылы жатады ғой. Жып-жылы жатады, еш жеріне дым тимейді. Қазіргі балаларға күніне бір 20-дай жаялық жаяды, ендегі соңғы кезде памперс шықты дағы.
Everything had to be done very quickly, but the nomads were trained to collecting quickly by the very way of their daily life. Many things have been adapted to this, including a baby's cradle. The child in the light portable Besik was still in his cozy nest, felt relatively protected, and remained dry and clean for a sufficient time.
Есінейді. Сонда біз солағы алдыда отырған баланы есіней қалғанда тосамыз, тоса қойғанда кішетеді.
Besik was a necessary, convenient and integral part of the daily life of our ancestors and was not considered as just one of the usual items. Besik had a sacred meaning. Many customs, rituals, traditions were associated with it. It was a gate between worlds. The Kazakh proverb "Tal besikten jer besikke" is just about it. It means from a wooden besik, a cradle, to an earthen besik, which means a grave. It is noteworthy that the object in which the deceased was carried to the last resting place was also called besik or atagash. Besik symbolized the continuity of the life cycles of the human soul, and therefore negligence towards it absolutely was not allowed. If the besik became completely unusable, it was not thrown out, but burned with reverence. It was believed that there is no well-being. It was not accepted to rock the empty besik without a child. Also, while there was no baby in the house, the besik was kept high, away from the feet, and so that no one would touch it. Besik was always kept covered with a cloth. Before putting the child into it, besik was necessarily smudged with fire or grass adraspan. Amulets protecting from evil spirits were often placed in the besik. For example, a wolf's tooth, an eagle's claw, or an owl's feather. Kazakhs believed that owl feathers also protected them from various insects.
Баланы бесікке салар кезде міндетті түрде бесікті аластайды. Оны әрине адыраспанмен аластайды.
Before putting the child in the besik, a ritual of cleansing it with fire is necessary. The sacred herb adraspan is used for smudging. If it is not at hand, then 7 matches are used, since the number 7 is also considered special.
Бесіктің барлық ішіндегі асайым сүйелерін жасайды ғой, қолдан. Соны салған кезде міндетті түрде.
Cleansing with fire has long been done to ensure the baby's sleep was deep so that evil spirits stayed away. When all the items of the besik were assembled, a mirror was necessarily placed under the blanket. There was a belief that when evil spirits saw themselves in the mirror, they got scared and walked away.
шошып кетсін, бесікке жоламасын дегенде түсінік бар екен.
We sow wheat for a year ahead, we plant trees for 10 years ahead, and by bringing up future generations in the spirit of justice, love and mercy, we take care of the eternal future.
Бесік жыры деген ол ең алдымен біздің ата-бабамыздан мирас болып келе жатқан.
A lullaby is a nice way of communication between mother and child, which contains a powerful and good energy, the energy of love.
Биік тұлға болып қалыптаса алмайды деп айтады.
I would even say that it is difficult for a child who has not listened to a lullaby to become a full-fledged person. It seems to me that a woman begins to hum a lullaby from the moment she learns about the new life in her womb and motherly instincts and intuition wake up.
Ол ана болу жасқа қарамайды. Екіншіден бесік жыры деген ол бесік жырын тыңдаған бала.
A child who has listened to a lullaby grows up very intelligent, cheerful, with a developed sense of beauty and a good character. All this affects the formation of his personality.
Деп есептеймін, солай қалыптасады дегім келеді.
Even if the child does not understand the meaning of the lullaby, his little heart responds with joy, the gentle motif and mother's voice. In Kazakh lullabies, you can feel not only the love of a mother and father for a child, but they also reflect the dreams and aspirations, soul and identity of the people. Adolf Januszkiewicz, a Polish scientist, was surprised and noted that a Kazakh child at 3 to 4 years old has a good command of the language, and he's already quite eloquent at 5-6 years. He's very good at expressing his thoughts. He said, the whole Kazakh steppe seems to be singing. Children who have grown up listening to their mother's lullabies are often calm, intelligent, and quick-witted.
Бесік жыры әрине абай айтқандай өлеңмен дүние есігін ашады.
A human being comes into the world with a song, Abay says. And the first song that a baby hears is a lullaby. We must understand that the lullaby has not only the purpose to put the baby to sleep, to lull him to sleep.
Бір мақсат міндеті, қызметі болған деп түсінуіміз керек. Яғни, сол бесік жырын айтқан кезде баланы.
But singing a lullaby, a mother gets a child closer to art. That is, a child learns to understand and appreciate creativity from the cradle. Therefore, I think that we have not fully appreciated the meaning of the lullaby yet. If a child is surrounded with creativity from an early age, then naturally he will develop his creative abilities faster.
Өнерді жоғары бағалайтын болады. Бұл бір қыры.
Today, it is already difficult to determine when and where the first lullaby appeared. But one thing is for sure, this is one of the oldest genres of folklore which naturally appeared in the process of communication between a mother or another adult with a small child. A lullaby is an instant request to the baby to fall asleep sweetly, or a request for his whole life to be always healthy and happy. Sometimes a lullaby is a mother's conversation with higher mysterious forces, asking for kindness to her child. And sometimes it's just a story about magical creatures, fictional or real events and heroes. A lullaby song is always lulling, with its monotonous rhythm, soft lyrical motif and flexible duration, adjusting to the speed of the baby falling asleep. Lullabies are the first source of spiritual fulfillment in the life. They are of great importance in the education of young people. I believe that the education of a person is the duty of the state and society, as Plato said. Education of the child is the responsibility of the state. Because educating the younger generation is inextricably linked with the future of the nation. The writer Mukhtar Awezov wrote, if you want to have a decent country, start education from the cradle. I think this is an important nuance in the education of the modern generation. Infancy is the period of the closest connection of a person with his mother, which affects his psycho-emotional and physical health throughout the rest of his life. No one doubts the benefits of longer breastfeeding. The influence of communication of mother and baby through singing has also been studied. For a child, these are the first lessons in speech development. He begins to perceive intonations, distinguish emotions, divide the flow of sounds into separate words. And for a mother, singing for her own baby is an art therapy which helps to increase breast milk and to distance emotionally from everyday worries and troubles. Even before motherhood, Kazakh girls as a rule knew several common lullabies. But after becoming mothers, they always tried to compose their own lullabies for their child. Personal lullabies were commonplace.
Содан кейін бүгінгі күні ғалымдар жалпы дәлелдеп айтып жатыр ғой, бала мен ананың.
To date, scientists have proven that the umbilical cord bond of a mother and a child is the strongest at the first 6 to 7 years. At these ages, the mother through lullabies awakens in her child the imagination, the desire for beauty, warmth, and affection towards his loved ones.
Бала кезден оянады деп есептеймін. Ал енді байқап қарасаңыздар.
If you noticed, our grandmothers sung lullabies for centuries, and through lullabies they handed down and preserved the best qualities of our nation, such as sensitivity, hospitality, generosity, fidelity to the spoken word, patience. To my mind, all these are very important for us.
Келу, шыдамдылық, таныту, осының барлығы аса маңызды деп есептеймін.
A lullaby with a deep meaning and a melody that warms the heart was often a lyrical reflection of not only the maternal feelings of a Kazakh woman. Brides married far from home hid their sadness and longing for their native home in lullabies, sang love for their native land, for parents and close ones.
Мысалы кезінде айтылған бір ән бар, халық әні.
There is a song in which it is sung, "My owl migrates to Almaty. What can a person do to the will of fate? It's been a long time since I've seen my home, and I haven't heard from my parents for a long time. My child, will I ever see my native land again?" I would say that in these words are hidden the secrets of the soul, an immense longing for native land, home place.
Қалған елімдай көрерім екем ай, әй бөпем кейін қалған елімдай көрерім екем ай.
Speaking in modern terms, it was a kind of psychotherapy, a method of achieving spiritual harmony for a woman. Therefore, I wish that we preserve this legacy for future generations and that young mothers also remember the tradition of singing to their babies. I wish everyone all the best. May the children be healthy and grow up merciful.
Осыны ұмытпас екен деп ойлаймын. Жақсылық тілеймін, балалар аман болсын, мейірімді болсын.